Have you ever been told that your dreams are too big? That what you want is out of reach? Maybe you've heard the voices of doubt whispering in your ear, telling you that the life you imagine is impossible. If you've ever felt that, then stay with me. Because this is the story of a young man who carried nothing but a dream in his heart. And somehow, against everything, against all the odds, he made the impossible real. And maybe, just maybe, his story will remind you that your dreams aren't foolish at all. His name was Daniel. Daniel grew up in a small town in Ohio. The kind of place where everyone knew each other's names, where Friday nights meant football games, and where life was simple but often predictable. His father was a factory worker. His mother worked double shifts as a waitress at a roadside diner, and Daniel was the kid with the notebook, always scribbling, always sketching, always writing down ideas that seemed bigger than the world he lived in. While other kids dreamed of taking over their parents' businesses or working steady jobs in town, Daniel dreamed of something different. He wanted to build, not just houses or machines, but something that could change the way people lived. He dreamed of becoming an engineer, of designing structures so bold they seemed to touch the sky. But in his world, dreams like that weren't exactly encouraged. His teachers would pat him on the shoulder and say things like, "That's nice, Daniel, but you might want to think of something more practical." His father, tired after 12-hour shifts, would sigh and remind him, "Son, we don't have money for college. Best thing you can do is find work here, something steady, something safe." Even his friends would laugh, calling him the dreamer, as if dreaming was a weakness. Still, Daniel couldn't stop. Every night, after homework, after chores, after the long days that weighed heavy on his shoulders, he would sit at the little wooden desk in his room and sketch. Bridges, towers, machines, whole worlds came alive in his notebook. To him, the drawings weren't just lines on paper. They were promises. But promises are fragile things. One night, during his senior year of high school, Daniel overheard his parents arguing. His mother's voice cracked with exhaustion. His father's voice was low and heavy. They were behind on bills. The mortgage was late, and the little money they had saved was already gone. That night, Daniel closed his notebook. He told himself that maybe everyone else was right. Maybe dreams were just dreams. And so, he did what seemed practical. He got a job at the very factory where his father worked. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months. His hands grew calloused, his back ached, and every night he came home too tired to open that notebook again. Slowly, the dream began to fade, buried beneath the weight of reality. But life has a way of whispering to us, even when we stop listening. It happened one evening, almost by accident. Daniel was walking home from work, his boots heavy with dust and sweat, when he passed by the town library. Out of habit, he stepped inside. The library was quiet, warm, filled with the soft smell of paper and ink. He wandered through the aisles until a book caught his eye. It was about architecture, filled with photographs of incredible buildings from around the world. Towers in Dubai, bridges in San Francisco, stadiums in Beijing, creations that seemed almost impossible, but there they were, standing tall and real. Daniel sat on the floor, flipping through the pages, his heart pounding with something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. For hours, he lost himself in that book, until the librarian gently tapped his shoulder and said, "We're closing now." That night, Daniel opened his old notebook again, and just like that, the fire returned. But this time, he wasn't content with just dreaming. He wanted to try. He wanted to fight for it. He applied to colleges, even though he had no money. He searched for scholarships, wrote essays late into the night, asked teachers for letters of recommendation. And when the rejection letters came, because there were many, he didn't stop. He kept applying. Then one morning, an envelope arrived. Thin, ordinary, with his name typed across the front. Inside was a single page, and at the top were the words he had been waiting for. "Congratulations, you have been accepted." The scholarship wasn't full, but it was enough to open the door. College was not easy. Daniel worked part-time jobs, cleaning dorms, delivering pizzas, tutoring other students to pay for the rest. There were nights he slept just 3 hours, nights he questioned whether it was worth it, nights when exhaustion pulled at him like quicksand. But every time he thought of giving up, he remembered the factory, the tired faces of men who had given up their dreams long ago. He refused to let that be his story. And then came the turning point. During his final year, Daniel's professor announced a nationwide competition. Students from all over the country would submit their designs for a new community center, a building that wasn't just beautiful, but sustainable, affordable, and practical for real people. It was the kind of opportunity that could change everything. Daniel poured himself into the project. Weeks turned into months as he sketched, revised, scrapped, and started over. He worked in the library until closing, spread blueprints across his dorm room floor, and tested ideas that seemed too bold to be possible. And when doubt crept in, because it always does, he would whisper to himself, "What if this is the one? What if this is the dream that defies the impossible?" The day of the competition arrived. Students from wealthy universities showed up with polished presentations, backed by expensive software and glossy displays. Daniel stood among them with nothing but his hand-drawn designs, his passion, and his voice. When it was his turn to present, he stepped onto the stage. His palms were sweaty, his throat dry. But then he thought of his mother, working double shifts, his father's tired eyes, the little boy in his room sketching dreams no one believed in. And he spoke, not just with words, but with heart. He explained how his design wasn't just about steel and glass, but about people, about giving kids a place to play, families a place to gather, and a community a reason to believe in something bigger. Silence followed when he finished, and then applause. Weeks later, Daniel got the call. He had won. His design was chosen. Not only that, but a leading firm wanted to offer him a job. In that moment, standing in his tiny dorm room, holding the phone with trembling hands, Daniel realized something that would stay with him forever. The dream wasn't impossible. It was just waiting for him to believe in it long enough to make it real. Years later, Daniel's name would be attached to buildings that reached the sky, bridges that connected cities, and projects that changed lives. But if you asked him what he was most proud of, he would always smile and say, "The day I opened that old notebook again." Because that was the day everything changed. And maybe that's what this story is really about. Not buildings, not competitions, not success, but about the moment you decide. The moment you choose to listen to the voice inside you instead of the voices around you. The moment you stop asking, "Is it possible?" and start saying, "I will try." So, to you listening right now, maybe you've put your own dream away. Maybe it's sitting in a drawer, forgotten, collecting dust. Maybe life, responsibility, or fear convinced you that it was foolish. But hear this, your dream is not gone. It's waiting for you to open it again, to believe in it again, to fight for it again. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to let go. Dreams don't belong to those who have it easy. Dreams belong to those who keep walking even when the road is long, to those who keep believing even when no one else does, to those who dare to defy the impossible. So, whatever your dream is, big or small, don't close the notebook. Don't silence the voice inside you. The world may not believe in it yet, but if you do, that's enough. And one day, when the world finally sees what you've created, they'll say it was impossible until you did it.